how old is 15 really? No, that's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not saying that a person is as smart as they're going to be at 15. That's not what I'm saying, man. But I am saying 15 to me is old enough to decide whether or not you want to be pissed on. I mean, that's me. If you can't make a decision like that by the time you're 15, then just give up, motherfucker, because life is way harder than that.
So this joke is called How Old is 15 Really?, in which Dave Chappelle speaks on, maybe you guessed it, R. Kelly and minors. He starts off with a simple question that captures your attention, making you ask the question, where is he going next? And that is how a story should be. Whether a short or a novel or even a script, it has an obligation to its audience. What is that obligation, Trevor?
The most important thing with comedy is context. Without context, no conversation is complete. Without context, no communication can...
Before Trevor Noah was rudely interrupted, he held a point. Jokes have context. It comes from a place. And without it, it wouldn't even produce a conversation worth having. So, what context can make a great, memorable story? Well, like jokes, stories depend on the creation of characters and how we often at times can see ourselves in the characters we read about.
People freak out, like when that girl Elizabeth Smart got kidnapped, right? Remember in Utah last year, 15-year-old girl Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped, and then they finally found her and the whole country was relieved. And I was the only one saying, damn, she wasn't that smart after all. Not because she got kidnapped, that could happen to anybody. I'm not knocking her for that. I'm just saying, if you kidnapped me when I was 15, you gotta take me further than 8 miles away from my house, man. God damn. You can't hold me prisoner around shit I recognize. I'll break away. I'll break away. Fuck off me, nigga. That's my bus stop. I know where I'm at. I'm going home.
This is why we love stories, or even why we love jokes. They reveal truths from human experiences we recognize. So could it be that the stories we read and the jokes that we hear reveal universal truths?
During this half a year that this girl is missing, there's a 7-year-old black girl gets kidnapped in Philadelphia. Nobody knows her name. They might have talked about her 2 or 3 times on the news, but she should have been the top story because she chewed through the ropes and had both of these motherfuckers in jail in 45 minutes flat. 7 years old.
A story must offer surprise. Sometimes it's the unlikely duo or complementary characters that gets us through a narrative. Characters in jokes are often in situations.
I hereby sentence you to serve 125 years in the custody of the Commissioner of the Department of Corrections.
Wait, no, wait. No, sit. You know, we didn't do it. There's a misunderstanding.
That's
we
right.
didn't do it.
We didn't. I didn't.
Our lawyer told us
didn't.
to come up. He's joking.
But we as writers must be careful with how we deliver a story. We cannot overdevelop a narrative. Don't give too many details and background information. It's the same as overcooked chicken. It just doesn't taste good.
Who wants pizza?
We have to pace ourselves and continue the build-up.
Meanwhile, in Utah, 15-year-old Elizabeth Smart's captors left her alone too, and they didn't even tie her up because they're hillbillies. They just bounced. Don't try to escape, bitch, or we'll kill you. Be right back. They leave. And she's 15, sitting in the house by herself. How am I gonna get out of this? Come on, Elizabeth, think. Think, Elizabeth, how am I gonna get out of here? Why don't you just open the fucking door and go outside? Have you thought about that?
Dare I say that some of the best thought-provoking storytellers are comedians who have not only mastered their craft of joke-telling, but storytelling as well.
I know what the people are thinking when I'm saying this. Dave, she is only 15. All right, but that's the discrepancy, because when you talk about a little girl like Elizabeth Smart, then the country feels like 15 is so young and so innocent. On the flip side, here comes 15 again. Now we're talking about a 15-year-old black kid in Florida. This black kid accidentally killed his neighbor when he's practicing wrestling moves that he saw on TV. Now, was he a kid? No.
Now, while a story, just like a joke, may not change your life, it can change a light bulb by using techniques we call scripts. Whether it's a war story or a coming of age story, we know how some of the situations begin.
When the smoke clears, right? Those two dames fall amazingly, completely, and totally in love with us. Why? Check it out. Yo! Check us out!
And even though we've heard this story before, we still sit and listen because we're hooked.
I really don't know how to say this to you.
You guys found girlfriends, right? Fell in love with the two girls. They fell in love with you. That's all I ever wanted for you.
You're not hurt?
Yeah, sure I'm hurt. But I wouldn't change it. I'm really just getting off seeing you two guys straightened out.
Some may reject scripts and embrace the fictional construct as a stereotype. Although it's not widely accepted, it still represents a human truth.
See, in the hood, most of us won't reach the age of 21. Happy birthday, homie. For me? Yeah. Happy birthday, homeboy. For me? Yeah. Make a wish.
This gem is from the Wayans Brothers cult classic Don't Be a Menace. They managed to turn a serious topic and transform it into a parody. And they're not alone, especially when it comes to comedians taking their human experiences and turning it into their comedic material. And for clarity, not every stereotype is true.
I'm in the middle of spelling a very difficult word. My dad shows up late, busts through the back door, high as hell, making cokehead noises, all right? Once again, I cannot make this up, all right? This is all I heard. I'm in the middle of spelling some shit. Out of nowhere, all I heard was, all right, all right, all right. Yeah! My son's spelling the shit out these motherfucking words.
No, the subject matter isn't funny if taken out of context. See what I did there?
Message!
But sometimes talking about taboo topics, even with context, is questioned. There's outrage.
Has the planet gone mad?
Trevor, what do you think about this from a comedian's point of view?
Comedian says in a joke about a topic, then about the topic itself. So people will get angry about a joke a comedian made about the police or police brutality, more angry than they would be about the issue of police brutality itself. And I think sometimes it's because people feel like they don't have control over the issues, so they can control what people say about the issues. There they get to assert themselves. How dare you think this is a joke, or how dare you say this thing? Or I get it to a certain extent. I genuinely do.
In the great words of Ricky Gervais, just because something offends you doesn't mean you're right. The key to any good story, or any real joke for that matter, is that we are willing to listen. Art is subjective, and maybe some of our favorite comedians and writers are trying to show us that nothing is off limits, even if we, as the audience, take offense. If it's any consolation prize, a writer, like a comedian, organizes again for the benefit of their audience. Both jokes and great short stories work towards a moment of insight, or epiphanies.
Some more shootings than I can literally count. You can't even go to the goddamn zoo without seeing a shooting nowadays. They shot a gorilla in my local zoo. And the Cincinnati police said shooting that gorilla was the toughest decision this department ever had to make.
Epiphanies, like punchlines, push the audience up, down, sideways, forcing us into a simultaneous puzzlement. And then, voila, something is served to us. It may not be what we asked for, but something even better.
I said, well, you about to see a lot of niggas in gorilla costumes in Cincinnati.
Now, before I go, there's one other thing that I have purposefully saved for last. Cue evil laughter. We laugh at jokes because we've just experienced a sudden cognitive reorganization. And that, my friends, is appropriate incongruity.
Aha! Aha!
Humor is rooted in appropriate incongruity. It allows for a moment or recognition of cleverness, or should I say discovery of the discomforting truths. The scenes I've been showing you all along are discomforting truths. Of course, as a class of craft, you knew what I was doing all along. But as a person who just loves to laugh, you recognize it and hopefully giggle. Maybe just a little, once you heard a joke.
They gave him life. They always try our 15-year-olds as adults. This nigger knew what he was doing. It's a goddamn pile driver. If this kid gets on the ropes, there's no stopping him. You'd have to send the Rock to arrest him. And they gave a 15-year-old boy life in jail. If you think that it's okay to give him life in jail, then it should be legal to pee on him. That's all I'm saying.
So, I'll ask you this time. How old is 15 really?